Okay, so before I start, I care a lot about what you all think of me, and I couldn't decide for sure what to wear tonight. So I need your input, okay? Blue's kind of like my signature color, but I couldn't decide whether to go with the black jacket or, hold on, okay, black jacket, okay, hold on. Gotta get the hair here. Or white? No jacket? No jacket. Tina? Okay, Tina's a stylist, so I'm gonna take Tina's advice. Okay, I'm gonna ditch the jacket. I'm actually gonna move these over here. Okay, like I said, I care a lot about what other people think of me, and it's a true statement that I've actually posted this outfit online and asked the people that follow me on Instagram to tell me which jacket to wear. Because we do that, right? So I grew up in a small town, a very gossipy little town. And I can remember very vividly my grandmother's words in my ear. And I adore my grandmother. She's 96 years old, still alive and well. But I remember her words very vividly. What will people think? Well, what will people say? And that applied to everything. What will people think? And what will people say? So I left that small town and I went on to college and went into the corporate world. And that notion of what will people think stayed with me always, especially in the corporate world. And as you can imagine, I probably would have wore the black jacket in the corporate world because it would have been more professional, right? And like sitting in a boardroom meeting, like I would have been taken more seriously in the black, so I thought. So what will people think of me? And so then, ironically, something happened to me that like sort of became my nemesis around what will people think of me. And that is that I acquired, about 17 years ago, I acquired an autoimmune condition called alopecia. Alopecia means that your immune system is basically attacking your hair follicles because growing hair is kind of the least bodily thing that you need. And so when your immune system is breaking down, it stops allowing you to produce hair. So over the course of this 17 years, I would get these patches of hair loss, and I got really good at covering them up and disguising them. And there were times in my life that the patches would connect and I would get these big patches. And you know, I went from wearing little hair pieces to bigger hair pieces to about 8 years ago, having it rapidly take off very progressively to the point that I lost every hair on my head, my eyebrows, my eyelashes, and yes, this beautiful hair. It's mine. It just doesn't grow out of my head. But it's still mine. And so this journey of hair loss, being someone who cared a lot about what other people think of me, was really hard. It was a really deeply emotional, lonely journey. And through that whole time, nobody in my life, other than the people who were really close to me, knew what I was experiencing because I hid it really, really well. I wore all my disguises. I had all the contraptions and things to cover it up. But when I finally progressed to this point of like wearing wigs, it was freedom because it was easier, but it was still hard at times. And so I'm going to tell you a story that really helped me find freedom and acceptance. And this story took place 2 years ago in Greece on a yacht in the Aegean Sea. I was there in Greece on a yoga retreat with a group of about 25 other women and my mom and my 17-year-old daughter who had just graduated from high school. And I really didn't want to go on the yacht. I really didn't, because I had this fear of what was going to happen once we were on the yacht. Because like when you're on a boat in the ocean, there's typically like activities that involve getting in the water, right? And so my 17-year-old daughter, I mean, what 17-year-old doesn't want to be putting pictures on Instagram of themselves on a yacht in Greece in the Aegean Sea? Of course she wanted to go on the yacht. So we went on the boat, and the time came for us to paddleboard, swim in the ocean, you know, do all of the things. And I had to make a choice. And, you know, I could sit comfortably on the boat. I wasn't wearing a wig, but I was wearing a scarf and a big floppy hat, and nobody could see what was going on. So I could play it safe, right? I could sit on the boat under my scarf and hat, or I could show my bald head to all these women that didn't know that I was bald and swim in the ocean. So let me ask you, based on what I told you about me and my lifelong fear of what other people think of me, what do you think I did? Show of hands, who says that I sat on the boat and played it safe? Okay, yeah. And the rest of y'all think that I jumped in the ocean? You hope I did? You hope I, okay. Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal that helped me make that decision. And I hope that I can convey this to you in a way that it might help you in the future when you're faced with a difficult decision, especially when it comes to having to do something that requires vulnerability or being bold or being brave. The thing that I thought of in that moment, and like this really, I feel the emotion. I thought about 5 years from that point in time, 10 years from that point in time, what would I regret? Would I regret sitting on the boat and playing it safe and, you know, playing it cool? Or would I regret not getting in the ocean with my daughter? I mean, I didn't know if we would ever be back in Greece. She's gonna go off to college and, you know, like do her thing. So some of you think that I sat on the boat and played it safe, and some of you think that I jumped in the ocean. Let me tell you what I did.
Yes.
I gotta tell y'all, 2 years ago, I would have never done this in front of a group of people. So I jumped into that water, and it was cold. It was like a freaking giant ice bath. It was so cold. And I came up out of the water, and I was screaming, and I'm pretty sure I was cursing. And my immediate reaction was to swim to the boat, like, get out of here. So I'm swimming to the boat, and I get to the ladder, and I start climbing up the ladder to get into the boat, and all of a sudden, something happened. And like this warmth came over me, and I thought, it's okay. It's okay to stay. Like, I don't have to get out. I've done it. I've done the hardest part. And the thing is, I was so worried about the questions that would come from all of the women on the boat. Like, oh, do you have cancer? When did you lose your hair? How did this happen? I was afraid of all of the questions. I was afraid of what they were going to say and think. Not one person said a thing. Nobody asked a question. Nobody said anything about it. And in that moment, I realized it wasn't about finding acceptance from all the other people. It was about my own acceptance. It was about my own ability to be able to look in the mirror and be okay with what I saw. And that was the point that changed my life. That night in the hotel room, and this is really meaningful, and I'm going off a script about this a little bit, but this is really meaningful because if you have children or people in your life that you mentor, people who look up to you, they're watching. It might even be strangers on the internet that are watching you and are being inspired by things that you do. And my daughter said to me that night, after having watched me her entire life struggle with this hair loss, and she said to me, "Mom, I'm so proud of you because I know how far you've come in your journey of acceptance," because she had witnessed it. So my question to all of you is, are you trying to fit in when you were born to stand out? Are you trying to fit in when you were simply born to stand out? So now, I'm going to tell you what I really wanted to wear tonight. Tina, a little pop of pink with the blue, a little contrast. Because why play it safe, right? Yeah, come on. Let's dance. All right, come on, dance.